How you going? So I finally made it. Boilermaker Mondays. Here we are. So for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is John, and I go under the social media name of Whisky and Sound on Instagram. For those, and I often get asked why Whisky and Sound. So before I get into Boilermakers, I'll do a quick introduction of myself and why Whisky and Sound really. So my journey with Whisky is very similar to that of my journey with sound as far as audio, because I come from an audio background, so car audio predominantly and home audio as well. I tend to not just put on my favourite track for the sake of listening to my favourite track. I go a bit more in depth into that track, and I'll be able to look at the acoustic environment around me, the installation of the speakers, and have that whole experience of the audio. It translates to me what sound is coming through. So I should be able to comfortably sit into my lounge room or sit into the front seat of my car, and not whilst I'm driving, but close my eyes and picture where the sound is coming from. And I should have a sound image in front of me. I should have, whether it be the vocals in front of me, the percussion behind the vocalist, the lead guitarist to either the left or the right, the keyboards or whatever instruments are being played. You should be able to pinpoint roughly where they are on the soundstage, and that hence a sound image is created. Now, a really good audio setup should be able to replicate that. Now, that's part of the trip the journey that I have with music and sound and audio. And Whisky gives me a very similar journey. It's not just a matter of cool, let's drink, let's get smashed, let's get wasted, whatever, as fun as that may be. But Whisky is a matter of enjoying a drink, nosing it, letting it sit on the palate, breaking it right down, and just really learning about the drink and letting it open up to you. And I connect with Whisky with the same way that I connect with sound. So hence Whisky and Sound. So that's my introduction. And during my Whisky journey, I come across a friend of mine that was around my place for a barbecue, and he brought over a couple of beers that he wanted to pair back with Whisky. And I looked at him a bit funny and I go, beers and Whisky, since when? I'll go, you either have one or the other, take a pick. He goes, no, let's do both, but you got to pair it in a particular way. So I said, cool, why not? You know what? You're the one that brought the beers, you lead the way. So we had a handful of different kinds of beers from a New Zealand brewery, and I had not bad collection of Whisky at that point in time that we could be able to find a pairing for quite comfortably. I remember it being an IPA, a porter, and I can't remember if the other one was a stout or not, but yeah, there was many a great pairings that happened that night, and that to me was my introduction of Boilermakers. So, and the journey has not stopped since. I haven't looked back from that moment in time onwards. I've just gone full steam ahead with seeing what I could pair what beer with which Whisky and whatever. So it's been a real fun time for me, and I want to share this fun with you guys as well, guys and girls, sorry. Now, Boilermakers, what are they? So everyone knows them as beer and Whisky. Where did they come from? Boilermakers come from, and there's no clear event that happened that said, right, this is where it originated from. But it was more or less, it just grew into what we now know as a Boilermaker from back in the 1800s, in the locomotive industry. The Boilermakers back in the day, after their long shifts, would do what tradies do and would go off to the pub afterwards, order themselves a pint of beer, and they would get a chaser shot of Whisky to have alongside that beer. Now, whether or not they used to shot those things together or have them side by side over the course of time is forgotten history. But what isn't forgotten is they used to have beer and whiskey together, and that's since grown. So, and the sky's the limit, especially in Australia with what we can get our hands on. We've got so many craft breweries in Australia alone, let alone what we import in, that the sky's the limit with the kind of pairings that you can come up with. And whiskey, well, you've got it between Scotch, Irish, Australian, Taiwanese, Indian, Swedish, Japanese, whatever. You're not short on whiskies to trial out as far as making a Boilermaker. So what is how do you make the pairings? This is probably going to be the next question that you've got. Well, there's a real cool article that I stumbled across in the early days of me wanting to know about Boilermakers more, and that is from the Whisky List. So big shout out to those guys for writing a pretty cool article, because that broke it down for me really nice. And the article, for those that want to Google it, is called 2 Up. If you jump on their website and suss it out for yourself. But that pretty much breaks it down, where they'll do a little bit of a history write-up, then where to start, like as far as how do you make the pairing. And then they give you a few beginner Boilermaker pairings for you to try, so then that way you've got an idea of their kind of concept. Now they brought up 3, I'll call it the 3 C's, and it's contrast, complement, and cut. Now there are 3 ways that you can, pair a beer and whiskey together, because contrast is, think of it like sweet and sour. So you'll have like opposite flavors. One's got a beer will have one particular strength, and a whiskey will have another key element about it, and bringing the 2 together will have like this interesting marriage in the middle where it creates that 3rd element, and that's that contrast. Complement is a likeness in character of each beverage. So whether you've got fruit paired with fruit or smoke paired with smoke, the similarity is there. So if you know that you've got one flavor in one drink, pair it with something else that has that predominant flavor too. The 3rd one, which is a cut, that'll basically, or it's either cut or cancel. So what that kind of pairing would do is it will take the predominant flavor that you want to probably back off a bit, and then bring the backbone of that drink forward. So whether you want the peat cut out of the drink, let's just say if you're drinking a heavily peated whiskey and all you can taste is smoke, well then you can have like a beer that can be able to pull back that peat a bit, so then you can get behind, and either if it's a florally dram, or if it's a fruit bomb of a dram, or if it's whatever, you'll be able to pick up all that from cutting that predominant element of the peat. So they're the 3 ways that you can go about constructing a Boilermaker in a nutshell, really. So this is basically going to be about my own personal experience now with Boilermakers and my pairings and what I've discovered over my time. I tend to drink a fair bit of stouts and porters. They're my go-to for beers. I'm more than happy, like I'll do the odd Carlton Draft on tap whenever I'm out with friends, or I'll do a nice fruity IPA or whatever. I'm not biased. I've tried to give sours a go. Personally, sours aren't they're not my choice of beer. I'll drink it if it's there, but they just seem to not be my choice of beer. Like, they just don't connect with me. Just as stouts and porters may be a bit too, they can be a bit too rich for somebody else's palate. So, which is the case with sours with me. But I'm still getting familiar with all these different kind of craft beers that are popping up, because there's a few that I haven't tried, which I'm curious about. And whiskies, well, I tend to lean towards heavily peated Islers. I like my Lagavulin, Lafroig, Ardbeg, Kilchoman. Those heavily peated, maritime flavored whiskies, or Talisker, for example, as well, which is a medium level peat island whiskey. Those kind of scotches I go for. I drink Aussie whiskies. I love my Aussie whiskies. I'm also a big fan of my Irish whiskies too. So I haven't really stepped too far outside that boundary as well. So I'm yet to, I've tried a couple of Japanese whiskies. I haven't tried any of the Taiwanese whiskies as yet. So no Kavalan. Haven't tried Indian whiskies. I think there's Paul John, I think it is. Amrut, I haven't tried. There's heaps of stuff that's out there that's readily available, which whilst you're on your Boilermaker journey, you can stumble across these. And even New Zealand whiskies I haven't tried, and I've been reading about those for so long and curious because I love New Zealand beer, and that automatically sets the bar high for me as far as what my expectation is for New Zealand whiskey. So I'll be looking forward to trying some of that as well. But anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to get to a can that I just opened up before, which is a One Drop Brewery blueberry and chocolate muffin. It's a nitro charged imperial pastry stout. So it's 10.9% ABV. So it's a fun beer to say the least. And this is just riddled with blueberries. It's so much blueberry. Probably not as much chocolate. You get the chocolate on the nose, but actually you'll get the chocolate more on the palate than what you would the nose, because the blueberry is so overpowering. So I'm going to get my palate familiar with the beer first, because it's a new one. Oh yeah, that is heaps of blueberry. Man, that is heaps of blueberry. Yeah, and that's got a real, and stouts are predominant for having stouts are known for having a real creamy effect, a rich effect, heaps of chocolate or cocoa. Sometimes I'll throw coffee in the mix. On this instance, I haven't, but this is more, this is chocolate and blueberry. It is what it is. So that I've got. What am I going to pair you back with? Knowing that I've got blueberries here as a predominant thing, ideally I want something that's rich, and this is quite a robust beer, so I want to pair this back with something that's going to step up to the plate comfortably. So I want to pair this back with maybe, this should do the trick, Highland Park 14-year-old Milner. So this is like, if I could put it in blunt terms, it's Christmas pudding with balls. It's not a lightweight. It's 56.5% alcohol, which I reckon is an awesome ABV for this particular whiskey. It's first fill European oak and American oak sherry butts married together, I believe. And yeah, it's heaps of dry fruits. I'd get a bit of tobacco smoke on there, or tobacco leaves on there, so I often use this as a cigar whiskey. And what else do I get on the palate? Like, I get that maritime flavour, so there's like the salty notes, only a touch of brine because the fruits are so strong in this. So I'm going to try to look for the complement factor, but it may go the other way, and it may lean towards maybe a contrast. I don't know. Could even bring it a cut. We're not too sure. That's part of the fun with having the Boilermaker. So I'll quickly go back to the beer, and then I'm going to go back with my whiskey afterwards and see what that does. That is such a rich beer. Oh my goodness. That is epic. Alright. And this whiskey smells so decadent. It is lovely. Absolutely lovely. Yep, saltiness. Tobacco. Yeah, tobacco leaves. Bit of espresso I get in there. Lots of fruit. Lots of stewed fruits like currants, Yeah, currants and berries. What you'd expect out of a sherry cask really is like heaps of dried fruits. So like dates or prunes, something along those lines. You'll get those in. Yeah, this should work pretty well with this. I'm hoping it does anyway. We're going to find out in a second. Oh, okay, well that done something very interesting. So, the way I have my Boilermakers, I'll whatever I put down first, I'll call that, I will refer to that as a wash, and then the follow up I'll call a rinse. So, on a beer wash and a whiskey rinse, it actually the beer almost cut, like they almost cancel the fruit out of the whiskey, and it brought the tobacco smoke and the salt and spices through, like heaps of nutmeg, heaps of clove and cinnamon, like those kind of spices. It brought them forward. Yeah, that was really nice. Nice little surprise. But if you go about it the other way and you do a whiskey wash and then you go back with a beer rinse afterwards, it does something different again. And that's part of the experience of having a Boilermaker, is taking your time with what you can get out of each drink, really. And you know what? A worst case scenario, if you think that you got it wrong, you've got two separate drinks here that you can enjoy in your own comfort. So finish one and then you can get onto the other at least. So I'm going to go a whiskey wash, and then I'll do a beer rinse afterwards, and then see what effect that has on my palate. So, I'll cut that pellet through. Beautiful. So I know that's nice and saturated now with whiskey, and then I'll go back to just chocolates and fruits. That really accentuates what the main flavors are in the beer. It really brings it forward. That's an amazing pairing. Really amazing pairing. That's a fruit bomb and a half. I'm so glad I put those two together. So yeah, One Drop Brewery, blueberry and chocolate muffin, Imperial Pastry Stout, and Highland Park Mule, a 14-year-old. Epic pairing. I'll give that a real high rating. That's awesome. I'm going to enjoy the rest of that a little later. I'm probably going to cut it short. Well, I'll cut it here. I won't say short because it's almost been 20 minutes. But as the episodes go on, I'll start breaking down through like all the different kinds of beers and different whiskies and whatever, and what sciences we could go through. Make some suggestions. Happy to look at any reviews from other people or any suggestions, or if you're not too sure what to pair a particular drink with, send me through something and I'll see if I can pair it for you or give you some suggestions to pair it with. So keep the comments coming. Lots of feedback, please, by all means. Let me know what kind of content you want me to show through this journey of Boilermakers with you. And if I'm going too quick or if I'm rushing anything, let me know by all means, and I'll pull the info back a bit. But you're on this journey with me together, so let's enjoy it. And you know what? Here's to a Boilermaker Monday. So enjoy your night, ladies and gentlemen. Thanking you for your time.